Good morning. Good morning, guys. Meet the Staff Sunday. Look at that picture. Matt Yang did that for us. Isn't that exciting? It's a good day. Thankful for you all to be here. And it's just going to look a little different. And, you know, when I was up here last Sunday, we were in Philippians, but we just talked about one of the major themes of Philippians is joy, but also it's unity. And our staff is just this group of humble people, which Paul teaches us that if you want unity, you got to have humility. And we have a great, humble staff that I love working with. Jordan, you love working with him, I'm sure. This is Jordan, if you guys don't know him.
So today's going to be different than normal. You can probably tell already. It's Labor Day weekend. There's a lot of people that aren't even going to be with us today because they're trying to get one last little relaxed weekend in before the chaos of school and this next season really sits in. And so we want to have a really relaxed day too. Just a conversational day, relational day. And there's a lot of questions that have been surfacing throughout the summer, as you could imagine. One of those questions is that we want to answer today is, what's going to happen with staffing moving forward? Are we going to hire a new lead pastor? Are we going to hire or fill in any other positions? And before we jump into our new vision series next week, we want to take a second today and answer that question and let you know that the answer to both of those questions, new lead pastor or any additional staffing, is no. We feel very confidently in conjunction with our overseers that the staff that we have right now is the staff that God has providentially put in place for this next season. And we are very excited looking at the skills and the giftedness of our team. We feel very confident that our church is in very good hands. And I think you guys, if you don't already feel confident in that too, you'll feel very confident after today as well. So let's, without further ado, because we can't hang out here and talk all day, let's meet the staff day, not meet Jordan and Jeremy. So let's welcome our staff up here to the stage. Yeah,
come on. Okay, first we have Ben. Ben Kemp is helping oversee youth. He's going to be up here. His wife, Heather, who's you guys have seen both of them preach up here. She also helps Ben with the youth, but she does elementary pastor. Jessica, you just heard sing amazingly. She's part of this team, of course, but she also oversees care, communications. She does a lot of stuff. Becky Giles is in the middle, and she is the city house director. And she also helps with a lot of admin stuff. You'll hear more about that. Matt Yang does does all of our creative stuff. He did this up here. He does all the stuff that you don't know that he does, but everything you see on stage creatively, he does that. Next to him is Brett Sanders, and Brett Sanders handles the facilities.
Brett has fans. I love it.
What'd you say?
I said Brett has fans, and I love it. I'm a fan of Brett too.
Yes. But we have a big building, a lot of grounds. He heads all of that, which is a lot. And Rini Neski right here, she is our preschool director. So she handles all like the infants all the way up through 4-ish, 5-ish, which is, you know, a lot of like screaming babies and poopy things. But she does that with humility, and it's awesome. So what we did today is we've just asked the staff to kind of prepare just a few answers to a few questions, like some of them, and there's not a bunch, there's just 3, but you know, they've been thinking about it and preparing and asking like, God, what do you want me to communicate about what I do? Because again, this staff is brought here for a reason, to work together, to serve you, but also just to live out what God is calling them to do during this season, right? And we'll just go right to it and start off with the questions. Good? Jordan?
Good? You guys good? Cool. Jeremy, what's our first question is take a second and just, we just introduced them, but they'll say their name again and just a little bit of a recap of what they do.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Just like what they do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, what your job looks like.
How long they've been maybe at Church of the Four Corners, and that's good. So who wants to go first?
Let's start down here at this end, and we'll just work.
Is there a mic down
Yep. Maybe we'll just work across. Jeremy, I put another wired mic over there for you too, so you can hand that one to the guys, or the gals, the peeps. Yeah. And then we can not play hot potato so much with just one mic. So Ben, everybody, Ben Kemp. And look, I have your names. Look at that. See you there?
That's so nice. Hi, everybody. I am Ben, and as far as I'm working with youth oversight with my wife, and my history with COTFC, we've been attending here for about a year and a half, but prior to that, we've been pretty relationally tied to the staff of Church of the Four Corners since the beginning of Church of the Four Corners, and so we've kind of just been around for quite a while. What my job entails is, if you kind of just, like, the quick short answer is, if you just kind of look around to all the things that we're doing here this morning, from media, worship, there's usually a teaching, things like that. We're doing all those same things on Wednesday nights for our youth group. And so I'm simply overseeing and facilitating a lot of those things happening. And so that's basically the rundown of what I do.
So I'm Heather Kemp, and I'm the elementary pastor here, and I help Ben oversee youth. So basically everybody from 6 years old up until 18. So it's been an honor, and we've been going here for about a year and a half now. And like Ben said, a lot of our answers might be the same, because last night we were talking, I was like, I'm going to say that. And he's like, well, you're just going to have to say it differently after me. I'm like, darn it. So, but during the day, again, the same things. In the Blue Room, we have our own service. One thing I really stress is it's not babysitting. It really is a service. We have worship, teaching, application, all of that. But more importantly, during the week, I feel like I disciple a lot of our crew, meet with them, partner with families and our kids to see how we can better help them in their environments at home, whether at school, here at church, whatever. But discipleship is a big thing that I do during a weekly basis.
Heather spoke a couple weeks ago, too, if you guys remember, and she did an incredible job. That's something that she'll be doing more, too. Both these guys have both communicated on Sundays and do fantastic work, so it's fun. My favorite person, sorry, just wanted to do that.
I'm Jessica. I oversee, Jordan and I both partner together overseeing worship. We also partner together overseeing care, and we both kind of take different wings of care. I primarily handle more of the benevolent side of things, missions, more like outreach side of care. So. And then also I oversee communication, so anything involving like information that needs to get out to the church or the world as a whole, that falls under me also. Jordan and I actually were the first people asked to be a part of this church back in, like fall of 2012. Yep. And we felt very strongly that this was what we were supposed to do, is come. We were working at a church in Illinois, and felt like we were supposed to come back and help start this church for people in our family that needed Jesus, and just people in our community back home. So we got to do that, and I've been part of the launch and starting the church in September of 2013. So that's pretty awesome. And I think that's it. Oh, wait, I didn't really say, I guess, what I do, but I, like during the week, I guess, I told you what I oversee, but it's just kind of a lot of different random things. But one of the things I do, too, is really just kind of like helping our team leads feel like they have what they need to be equipped to lead, because we do have a lot of team leads that fall under our care, under our umbrella. And so we get to do that. And then any needs that come into the church kind of filter through me also. So that's primarily what I do the majority of the week, is kind of just taking those needs that come in and seeing how we can help. And then also like partnering with like other organizations and things like that. So, sorry.
Hi, good morning. I'm Becky Giles. I'm both the administrator for Church of the Four Corners and the City House director. I don't think we have enough time for me to tell you exactly what I might do from 1 minute to the next. I have a very varied days. I do everything from answer the phone, write checks, create a lease agreement for our tenants. I manage the relationships with all of the animator tenants back in the co-working section. I make sure they have, everything that we said we would give them in these set agreements. I also help organize all the events. So basically, I try to produce some revenue for us that doesn't come out of your pockets, but comes out of other people's pockets by being in this building and utilize this building the way we believe that God ordained us to do so. And I really have the best job of all because, like I said, I have a lot of variety. But I also get distracted and get interrupted all the time, so there are some challenges with my job. But I love the staff and I love the church, and I just appreciate getting to be here.
Becky she definitely keeps us organized. She's just helps us keep going on a day-to-day basis. But another thing that she does is, who's not here, we have someone named Danina Welch who helps us with our bookkeeping and our financial arm of the church. Becky and her work closely day to day, and that's a lot of work. And I just wanted to point that out because it's a big part of what she does. Okay.
My name is Matt, and I am the visual designer here at Church of the Four Corners. So, as they were saying, any graphic stuff, video editing, stuff that you see on the screens, sometimes social media, I'm the one that does all those things. And I'm also part of the lead guys that help with the production team. So, yeah, again, most things you see on Sundays, stuff on the screen. If something goes wrong with tech, I'm the one that's always running to the back. I saw the screens flicker earlier, so that's the only thing on my mind right now. But yeah, so my day-to-day is kind of different. I'm only here part-time, so a lot of it is working on graphics, design work, just helping out around the building, trying to fix production stuff when there's issues. So, and I've been here at Four Corners since March of 2018, which is when I moved here to Kansas City. But I've been involved to some degree doing video editing and graphic design work for 6 months even prior to that. So.
My name's Brett Sanders. I'm the facilities director here. My family's been coming to this church for about 7 years now, and over the last year and a half, I've been the facilities director here. So I've been kind of in charge of heading up a lot of the maintenance and upkeep and build out of this place, along with a really solid group of dudes who come and help me out with whatever they can help me out with. So that's what I do.
I just wanted to start off by saying we spend a lot of time sitting in a circle, and being in a line is really throwing me off. We have meetings on Tuesdays where we all sit in a circle of chairs and we talk about things. I'm Renee, and I'm the preschool and nursery ministry leader. And throughout the week, you'll find me here just a couple days, and I spend a lot of time getting the formatting preschool lessons and getting them ready for your kids to enjoy activities on Sunday, working with my curriculum team, who is amazing, with whatever they need, and managing, just keeping relationships and schedules for Sunday morning teachers with about 50 people on the crew. And I forgot to say, I've been a part of Church of the Four Corners for almost the whole life of our church, and I've been a leader for most of those years and on staff for 2.
Yeah. And so I do want to add something. Those of us who have spouses, our spouses do a lot, even though they're not on staff, they do a lot of work. Every one of these spouses and girlfriends help a lot here.
Fiancés.
I don't know if I should say that or not.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think that it's a secret. But Matt got engaged, everybody.
Yeah, come on.
Hey!
Yeah. So that's another. Even though they're not up there in the picture, they should be. But we can't. That doesn't fit the theme. But the second question is a little deeper. But I want to say that before they answer the next couple groups of questions is, if you've been a Jesus follower for any period of time, you know that Jesus speaks to you through other people, and he uses them to encourage you, to just speak into something you may be going through or whatever the situation is. And so as you listen to the next answers, for the rest of our time, just think about, is God speaking to you through that? Are you been wondering about the same thing? Or it could just be an encouraging thing, you know what I mean? And just think about that, okay? So the next group of questions is, it's kind of, you can answer it either or and. It's, what is your biggest challenge that you face while on staff here and being a part of the church staff? And what are you most excited about, either in your specific ministry or for COTFC as a whole? And they could choose to answer any of all of that. And we're going to start, I guess, should we start back here? Or you want to go back over there?
We could linear it like a linear draft in fantasy football, or we could snake draft. So
I don't know what those words mean.
Let's do snake draft. So let's go. That's a shout out for all my fantasy football friends out there.
Okay.
So let's do snake. So we'll come down. So we went down that way. So then we come back the other way. So we'll start back with Rini.
Is this a snake draft then? So in the preschool and nursery ministries, our biggest challenge that I see is really connecting with you all. You all are the parents and caregivers of these kids, and we know you are the primary spiritual influence in their lives. We love partnering with you all and helping your kids grow closer to God, and we're really brainstorming of how we can do that together more. Just instead of us in our lane and you guys in yours, we would love to do that together, and that's really where we would love to grow. And then, what am I answering? Well, I'm excited for. Oh, okay. So in the next season coming up in preschool and nursery ministry, we have Costume Sunday, and guys, even the staff has said like, hey, we should dress up too. So just so you know, you're gonna see the announcement coming up for Costume Sunday, and you guys should dress up the end of October.
Only Bible characters, right?
And whatever's not scary, Bible characters encouraged.
If anybody has a salty costume from the 90s,
Oh my God.
I don't know, like a gigantic. He's the big blue book, right? Yes. That's. I'm looking for a salty costume. So.
Bonus points for salty. And we are planning for our little preschool age kiddos to have another Christmas singing performance in December.
Woo-woo!
Guys, this is a big place. This place is big. That is probably one of the challenges I deal with here, just throughout the week. But I think one of the biggest challenges that I have is figuring out ways that we can connect the activity of this place to like the. Yes. Here we go. Right there. There we go.
Brett has an amazing voice.
Thank you.
It's very soothing.
Just figuring out ways to connect the activity of this place to the church body that we have here. Like, Becky wasn't kidding. This place is nuts. We have a lot going on here. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Church of the Four Corners is not the only thing that calls the City House its home throughout the course of the week. We have many small businesses and nonprofits that work out of here. We have contractors, we have therapists, we have people who do eyelashes, IT, audio, video. We have a theater company in the back behind these walls that does kids plays and camps and classes like all week long. I think last night the stage looked like a British naval ship of some kind, and there were like hundreds of people in here watching plays. We have nonprofits that like dedicate their time to organizing local churches to help communities in crisis and other ones that provide care packages and support for like women who have suffered through miscarriage. On top of everything that we do here on Sundays for you guys, there are 2 other churches that have services in this building immediately after us. So not only all week is like the work of God happening in this place, but all day long, God is being taught to people here. So there's a lot going on. There are hundreds of people who come through these doors every single week, and whether they meant to or not, they come into contact with your church and your church community, and like that's wild. So that's also the thing that gets me really excited is the ways that we can utilize this place, the ways that God can utilize this place to build real community, like in our church body, but also in our neighborhoods and with our other church partners that we're connected with. And that's what gets me worked up.
One of the biggest challenges I face sometimes is convincing people that running a camera isn't that hard. Or really any of the media stuff. I mean, we'll show you how to do it. We'll work alongside you guys, and we're not looking for perfection by any means. We just want people that are willing to learn, serve with a positive attitude and a cheerful heart. Like my job with media and the volunteering with productions and everything. We're not here to try and make Jesus look cool. Not trying to make church attractional or entertaining or any of that stuff. We're just here to try to be as authentic as possible and complement the mission with our media, with our productions, and not distract from it. And I'm just excited because, with that challenge of getting some volunteers, we are having people that are stepping up and serving and are joining our team, and it's really cool to get to see them and talk to them and just, again, have a place where they're cheerfully serving. And just as a whole, I'm excited for our church because just the way that we're moving is going to be, if it's not already feeling very relational for a lot of you guys, it's moving forward even more in that direction. And I wish you guys could see what this staff is like just in the day-to-day. Just me being in the office a lot of times with my headphones on, just working away on my computer, doing media stuff. Just all the conversations I hear from everyone on this stage of just, so-and-so needs help, so-and-so needs prayer. Oh, I'm going to reach out to so-and-so. Like, very, very relational, and just how much everyone here cares about you guys and each other. It's just very encouraging, and yeah, hope you guys all feel that.
Yeah, so like what Brett said, it's a big undertaking to keep this place operating and to keep it clean, to be sure that we have all the supplies we needed, to be sure people can get a hold of me. You can ask my husband. I get text messages all the time, and it's okay because I made an agreement with someone or an organization and promised to take care of them, and that means sometimes answering texts when you might be on vacation or just whatever's going on. And that's how I see my job, is making sure that my tenants, I know I say I shouldn't do that, but I feel a kind of a ownership, not an ownership, that's the wrong word, because I want to, there you go, responsibility. Because I want people to be in this environment, and whatever they're doing, whether it's running a concert and 100 people, 300 people are in here, or it's a theater production, I want them to have what they need to be successful. I want them to have what they need so they can put the best product on the stage, or they can run the best wedding out in the lobby, whatever they need to make that happen. And so I take it very personally, probably too personally, as Jeremy will remind me. But this building, somebody's laughing out there. They must know me. This building is not just a church. It is a church, but it's not just a church. We see it as a church. People that walk in here to attend a concert in December or to see a theater production, they see it as an event center. And so the duality of those roles running the business side and then doing the relational side, that's my biggest challenge. Sometimes I can get, having been in corporate America for a lot of decades, I'm that old, you know, it was getting things done, task-driven, hitting those bottom lines, making the goals. But while that's important here, that we be efficient with God, what God has given us, there's the relationship side to this. And that means when someone comes in and they need to see something, or they think they want to rent a place, but what they really need is prayer. And they start falling apart and they're crying. And so God allows me to intercede at that moment and pray for that person. So it's having the business hat with the ministry hat, and that's challenging for me as a person alone. For all the people that know me intimately, know me well, I am wired to think out loud, and that gets me in trouble. And I have a really good big heart, but sometimes things come out my mouth and I'm like, oh, you weren't supposed to hear that. That was just a thought. And that's a real problem with me. But that is the way God wired me some 60 years ago. And I have to take the way God wired me and say, okay, Lord, you put me in this position. So I have to spend time with you each morning to make sure that I am where I'm supposed to be and that I get my head on straight, because in a heartbeat, I can have a bad attitude, I can be frustrated by the phone ringing, I've got to do this and I've got to do that. So the challenge is within me to be sure I'm listening for the Holy Spirit, I'm listening to His voice, and I'm trying to remember that, yes, this is a job, but it's a ministry as well. And that was something I wasn't expecting when I took this position. And God has been so good to me, has taught me so much being on staff. And the people you see up here are the kindest, the most patient, forgiving, encouraging staff I've ever had the pleasure of working with. And so, wow, I kind of got off on that question a little bit, but I love this place, I love my job, and this staff is amazing, and they help the greatest challenges of the day be easier to get through.
My biggest challenge is probably more in the realm of care when it comes to my job. There are so many people in our community hurting and really struggling. Being an independent, I mean, there's just so many different needs. And so we absolutely would love to help every single person that reaches out to the church, but that's just not always the case as far as like giving financially. Sometimes when budget allows, we are able to help with that kind of thing, but what we do is do our best to provide people with as many resources as we can. So that's kind of like a part of my job, is like finding out what organizations are doing what in our direct community, so that way when somebody comes and says I need X, Y, or Z, then I can say I know an organization that can help you, and be able to like send people that way. But I would say that that's probably the biggest challenge, and it's just a heaviness to it, being exposed to like so much of the hurt and the pain. And so, but being able to pray with that person, or being able to send those needs to our prayer team, I mean, that helps lighten the load too. But it's also a part of like what gets me excited is I really, really am excited for the future, because I feel like I really want our church to grasp more so just the heart of serving, and like how can we partner with organizations in our community to like actually serve with them more, and then not just give, be able to give financially, which we want to up that, and we want to do that more next year, and to like have specific organizations that we can partner with. So I'm just excited to like continue exploring that and what that looks like, because the need is great, and serving does something in us even more sometimes than it does just the people that we are serving. So I just want that to just be a part of our culture. Like where's the need? What's going on? Let's serve together. And so it doesn't have to just be in this place, but even expand it. So yeah.
I would say for elementary, biggest challenge would probably be the crew and I have been talking about how can we transfer what we're doing on Sundays and get in contact with parents and partner with them on discipling their kids. Because Sunday mornings is great and we do a lot with them and we try to train them up and we try to disciple them there, but it's only for 45 minutes basically a week. But parents are with them constantly. And so it's going to matter more if parents aren't discipling kids at home. It will never stick. Never. So that's a challenge. But the cool thing is, for the excitement, is what excites me and my crew is when it finally clicks. Like when we were talking about wisdom, like wisdom is knowing the right thing to do and actually doing it. So it's like when the kids it starts to click and they're like, oh, so I do this. It's like, yes. And like, how can I show compassion this month? Or like self-control, or like praying for each other. Like somebody, falls down in Blue Room or something when they're playing Foursquare, gets hit with the ball or something like that. Hey, can I pray for you? Those are the things that gets me excited. It's the little things that seem really small, but they build a foundation.
Well, after hearing Rini, I now have two biggest challenges, if that makes sense, because just meeting and engaging with parents is very difficult. Our Wednesday nights are set up where parents drop their kids off outside the building, and then our students leave the building to go get back in the cars afterwards. So there's really no time for engaging and meeting and things. So that's a big challenge to work through. Another one is simply inconsistent attendance. The average, we have a small core of students that come practically every week, but for the most part, the rest of our group shows up maybe every 2 or 3 weeks. And so it's very difficult to really invest in someone in a meaningful way when they're only around you for maybe a couple hours in a month. And so that's one of our big challenges that we're going to be working through.
That's good.
I forgot. What am I excited about? I'm sorry. The discipleship part. Just like Heather said, it's really exciting to see the light bulbs come on. And as I'm growing our crew and we're developing a teaching team and we're developing a service planning team where I'm trying to disciple all these folks in these different areas as we do it, that's exciting for me to see a measured step of growth that someone takes. And so that's exciting.
That's good.
So we got one more real. This is my favorite question. I think, like Jeremy said, today's a little different, and I think that at the beginning of this, when I told you that today's going to be a little bit laid back and it's going to feel a little bit different, we're just going to talk to the staff. Maybe for a second you thought, oh man, I was really hoping to leave here with something to take away rather than just information. This is the question where if you listen to what these guys have to say, there's profound wisdom in this group, and this is the moment where something that somebody says in this next question is going to sit or resonate with you. And I would encourage you that if it's something that's challenged or something that you're wrestling with or trying to struggle through, find these guys. Find them in the lobby. Find them on a Sunday. Reach out to us. And if they say something that means something to you and you want to know more about it, reach out because they would love to sit with you. So this last question is, what has the Lord been speaking to you lately?
All right, let's jump in. Since we're doing the snake method, right? The snake method. So I am not someone that gets frustrated really quickly and easily when it comes to interacting with other people. Well, we just this year transitioned our 2 children from public school to homeschooling this week. And it's been a challenge, and I'm the math guy in the house, so all the math things, I take care of engaging with that. And our youngest daughter, she struggles with it, and so tensions typically rise very quickly. And I got to tell you, this week I lost it.
Ben
I didn't even know
Kemp
where to
lost
look
it.
for
Remember that.
I didn't even know where to look for it. I lost it so bad.
I can't even imagine what that looks like. It's like Ben, did you just like stop your feet? Like this is the most gentle man I've ever known in my life. So but I'll let you. Yeah, sorry.
It was kind of like that. I could not get a sentence out of my mouth. It just wasn't working. So I stormed downstairs and started taking out my aggression on push-ups and pull-ups. It was that bad. And as I'm in the middle of doing that, I felt the Lord just nudge my heart a little bit, and I didn't audibly hear him say this, but it was the equivalent of hearing him say, "Hey." And instantly I knew what I needed to do. I fully understand the implications of hey. So I stopped trying to wear myself out physically because I can do that, but my mind was angry. Like everything up here was in knots, like my blood pressure was elevated. It was a whole thing. And so I went straight over to my computer. I pulled up YouTube where I have a playlist of worship songs that I worship to regularly. I picked 2 songs that were just softer, slower. And as the songs were playing, I just spoke the words out to the Lord as if I wrote them to him. And I'm telling you, in 5 minutes, cool, calm, collected. My mind was back. My blood pressure was down. I was it seemed like I was kind of in a good mood. And that's the thing. That's the thing God's been really working on me with, is that when it comes to the basics of building a friendship with the Lord, we never walk away from the basics. We never graduate away from them to something that's more in-depth or something that's more intricate. It's just the basics of building a friendship with the Lord. So reading scripture and reading it to actually understand what it's saying to you, praying and talking to God and leaving him time to talk back. Listening to the Lord is sometimes the hardest part. We don't take the time for that. But then loving God through worship. Those things, we never graduate away from those things. We simply get more skillful at connecting with the Lord through them. And so he's been really pushing on me about that. So I just want to encourage you with that. Master those 3 things and you will be one of the most mature people in Christ that you've ever met. And it's such a great thing. You will grow like crazy.
So the Lord has been speaking a lot of things to me, but I think the biggest thing is I've been doing extensive research on what it means for God to be our shepherd and all the things that he provides and promises and things like that. And something that the Lord, through my health and through homeschooling and just all the different things that we're going through during this season in our lives, personally and with the church, is contentment and peace. And in verse 2 of Psalms 23, when it talks about he lets me lie down in green pastures and leads me to still waters, that's referring to the green pastures as his word and the still waters as his peace. And so as we fill ourselves up with his word, he leads us to peace. So as we get contentment in him and joy, we talked about joy and contentment. You can't have one without the other. But you find true joy and contentment in the Lord when you spend time with him and he leads you to peace. And so whether it is with my health or whatever, to be content that whatever he leads me to is exactly what's best for me. And feeling good or not, that's where he needs me to be. And so finding contentment and peace in him.
In this season, I guess one of the biggest theme that God has been speaking to me personally about in my own life is when it comes to identity and calling. I probably within the last year, it was just a wild season of trying to pinpoint why I was, feeling the way I did, or why my passions felt like they were shifting in some way. When I was 16 years old, I felt like God had called me to be a worship pastor. And so I just took that, and that is my job. That's what I'm going to do, and forever and ever and ever. And so but then over the past year, I felt like God was shifting my heart in different ways, and just different passions for just care and people who, I guess, the overlooked or And that was becoming more of a passion of mine. And so I really, through extensive just like surrender of just, Lord, I don't know, like, am I supposed to still be a worship pastor? Are you calling me to something else? What am I, what's my role? I just felt very like confused, and I knew that God was not a God of confusion. So the answer is there. And so through prayer, seeking counsel, like even through therapy, but also having friends speaking into my life and actually like that was the Lord was speaking to me through them, just helping me understand that my identity is not my vocation. My calling is to follow him, and so wherever he leads me, then like that's his will. That's what he's supposed to do. So it was just interesting the way that I was really wrestling with that over this past year, probably since last summer, and then just seeing the shifting of just, different things going on this year. I just really feel confident that I'm where I'm supposed to be. And like this care role is something that I'm very passionate about and I'm very excited about. And obviously I still love leading worship, and that is one of my biggest joys. And I know I can see that it's a gift, even though it's hard for me to be like, I have a gift of singing. Like, I hate saying that. I don't want it to seem prideful or anything like that, but like I think that's another thing that the Lord's working on me is like, you can like thank me for the gifts that I've given you. So like I can say, thank you, Lord, that I can sing. Like, thank you that you use me with my voice. And I think even just this week, I had someone speak to me and saying like, I feel like your voice it's not just your singing voice that God's going to use you, but it's the same anointing that you use on the stage is what I'm going to use moving forward. And so anyways, that's probably the biggest thing.
Well, I am in a very strange season of life.
Hold the microphone.
Oh,
There you go.
sorry.
It's okay.
I'm in a very strange season of life. I have a daughter getting married in December, and my husband is in stage 4 of prostate cancer. And so I go from speaking about wedding details to planning funerals. And it's a balancing act to be sure that I keep my head on straight and my emotions, I deal with them. But what God has showed me through all of this is that because I have journals and Bible studies and Bibles full of markings of God's faithfulness, I never have to worry that he's not walking through this with me. In fact, I never have to worry that he hasn't already gone before us. And I can look back at, probably the last 25, 30 years of my life when I really got interested in this Jesus journey. Even though I grew up in church, I really began to understand that he wasn't just a character in the Bible that we talked about all the time, that he actually cared about me, actually loved me, and he has taught me lesson after lesson of waiting on him, and that's not easy. He's taught me time and time again that he doesn't break promises. He will not forsake us. He will not leave us. And so as I walk through this very strange time of my life, trying to be both joyful and happy and excited over here and like, okay, let's go buy a burial plot. I mean, that's like, it's weird to be me right now because of all the juxtapositions of my emotions. But I know that no matter what the day brings, that God is equipping me to handle it because I do spend time with the Lord. And I got to tell you, that's not easy to do, right? How many of us get up every day and it's like, yep, I'm going to start my day with Jesus. And it's not Jesus who's the problem, it's us. And we're like, oh, I don't know. Do I have enough time? Am I going to say the right things? I mean, even after all my years of spending time with him, I still think, am I going to do it right? And of course, we know there's not a right way. He just wants us to talk to him, and he just wants us to spend time with him. But the one thing I have learned, and I continue to go to the verses in Isaiah, My ways, his ways are not our ways. His thoughts, they're not our thoughts. I would not have chosen to be in this time of my life trying to figure out what everybody needs. And I know it's not on me, but man, he's there for us. The Holy Spirit, I tell you what, he will fill you up. And we just have to open our heart to him, and we just have to tell him, I don't like this right now. This is really hard, but you've ordained it, and I'm going to walk through it, and I'm going to be okay when I get on the other side. So my message to you is just keep doing it every day, no matter if you feel like, oh, I didn't get that right, or oh, I just checked it off, or oh, wow, that was a great morning with the Lord. Just do it. Read the Word. Be in the Word. It does permeate the heart, and it does start changing those neural pathways in our brain to where we remember, oh, I remember that time. God was faithful then. God's going to be faithful now. And so that's just where I'm at right now, and I'm just encouraging you. Don't give up on him.
So when I found out I had to speak up here, that intimidated, for lack of a better word, the poop out of me. My entire job and what I do is behind the scenes, just the way I like it. So I was like racking my brain trying to figure out, like, God, what do you want to say through me? What do you want me to share? And I just felt this overwhelming prompting from him that I shouldn't overcomplicate it, that I should keep it simple. Don't overthink it. Don't trust in my own power, my own knowledge to share some nugget of wisdom with you guys. Let God speak through simplicity. And so God speaking through simplicity reminded me of my dad and how he approached life. And before I get to that, got a question for you guys. I like audience participation. How many of you guys like sitting in meetings? By a raise of hand. I think I see one. Okay. I'm also not raising my hand. This is just an example. Unless it's with these guys. I love being in meetings with these guys. Okay, for the one that raised their hand, how do you like sitting in 4-hour-long meetings? No, that hand is down. So my dad was a counselor at my old church where I actually met Jordan and Jess and Taka Iguchi, one of our overseers. And when Taka was last here speaking with us about a month or two ago, I remember he told me a story about how he had just seen my dad come out of a 4-hour counseling session with someone. And Taka was like, oh man, Pastor Josh, that must have been awful. And my dad, embracing the moment with Taka, having just embraced the moment with the person he was counseling, looked back at him with a smile and was like, no, that was amazing. It was great. See, my dad knew how to stay in awe of the little things that God does in what we see as maybe mundane or boring. He knew how to always be open to what God has in every situation. He knew how to be like a child, as Jesus says in Matthew 18, 1-5. See, the disciples were asking Jesus, what constitutes as greatness in heaven? And Jesus was like, it's to be like a child. Because if you think about it, children are humble. They are considered technically the lowest position in our society. They're not really striving for anything. They're teachable. And as we've all seen with children, just the discovery and wonder of everything that's new to them, it just brings so much joy and happiness to them. And when I was sitting here last week too in service, and Jeremy announced that we were going to be sharing stuff up here, an image popped into my mind that I hadn't thought of in over a decade. About 15 years ago, I was on a missions trip to the country of Kyrgyzstan, and we went to an orphanage. And I'll never forget this. There was this kid who must have honestly probably been like a preteen or a teenager in the orphanage. And for 20 minutes or so, maybe even like 15, the two of us were just throwing a balloon animal back and forth in the hallway. Just back and forth, throwing this, what I assume was supposed to be a dog, but I'm not a balloon artist, it's probably a snake. Balloon animal, back and forth, and just the joy and like the smile and like the love in his eyes that I saw just in that simple act. It's just something I'll never forget. Like I feel like a lot of times we just have so many things in the world that want to distract us and take our attention and our time and our money, and just we miss out on the simple things that God has for us. Like that simple act of throwing a balloon with someone meant so much to that kid in that moment. Like God can do so much in honestly nothing. Like, again, just a little balloon. If we just humble ourselves, be in a lowly position as a child, rely solely on a parent, in this case God, for our provision. And I also feel like sometimes we let the intensity and the depth of trying to know God better get overly complicated to the point where it almost feels overwhelming at times. Not just to us, but to the people that we're trying to be examples to. We can make God seem more overcomplicated than he really needs to be to us. But there's just so much freedom in life in allowing God to speak in us in everyday things and just being and listening. The depth will come. We can obviously get deep in our knowledge and understanding of God through scripture study, spiritual disciplines, all sorts of different studies. And that's all amazing. It's all stuff that's very needed in our lives. But like any relationship, depth takes time. And sometimes you just got to start simple. So just remember to be in awe of God in the little things. And sometimes just start with the simple stuff.
I mean, like what they all said, right? I think it just kind of similar to Jess, like as I've kind of been trying to pursue this season of just like following and leaning in and just being available to God, like there's so much to do, guys. And there's so many things, like as kind of a chronic workaholic and fixer of things, like it's easy for me to just like hold all that and like try and do the stuff and what do I have to do, what do I have to get done. And I think the thing that God has kind of been putting on me recently is just that it's not about me. It's not about me. And I think that's like one of the biggest key realizations we can make as people who say that we're here to follow God and Jesus, like, is that it's not about me. Like Galatians 5:14 says the whole of the law can be summed up in one commandment: love your neighbor as yourself. That's about other people. Like Matthew 7:12, Luke 6:31, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Like it comes up over and over again so many times that we call it the golden rule and everybody knows it. And trying to actually do that requires us to just kind of realize that it's not about me. And being available and open to going when the Lord puts an opportunity in front of you. So, I mean, like when you hear us ask for help or say, hey, contribute, be involved, like that, we don't want anybody to ever feel like, to say that to make you feel guilty or put on the spot or anything like that. Like we put that out there to you guys because everybody here does have something to contribute. Like the Lord is moving in this place and things are happening all around it. And it's important to be a part of that. Like, yeah, and it's not about us. And living life in pursuit of Christ is so much more than just being on the receiving end of a Sunday service. Like those opportunities are there, and we need you guys to be a part of them. Yeah, there's a lot of work to do, but we do that work because you guys matter. I'm going to steal from you and do like some audience participation here. Like, we do this stuff because you guys matter, because you're worth it, because Jesus says you matter, and because you're worth it. Like, I mean, if you look to the person to your left, you should just tell them, like, hey, you matter. And if you look to the person to your right, you should tell them, hey, you're worth it. And that's why we do this stuff for each other. Like, whatever you're doing to contribute or help out around here, it only goes to making Sunday better for somebody else and to prepare the way for the next group of people that God brings through these doors. Like, we're taking care of them, they're taking care of us, and we're all taking care of each other. And that only happens when you realize that it's not just about me, and that that's what family does.
Woo.
So life can get really complicated, and I've seen a theme of God showing me in really all areas that, and Matt's answer follows the theme here. So God's really showing up and telling us that to really find the beauty and simplicity. I feel like we've all talked about as a staff of how we can change things to be more simple going forward. In preschool and nursery ministry, we have found we've been spending energy in places that are maybe unnecessary, and so we're finding more simple ways to do things there. And in my personal life, we have our house listed for sale, and I packed up like 50 or 60 boxes of things that are in my garage. And so my house feels really simple right now, so it's kind of making me rethink how to even move forward whenever we do transition into our next living space. So just the beauty of simplicity is what God's showing me right now.
That's good. That's good. So, like overall, it feels like, well, going back to God speaks to us. And God doesn't speak to us like, this is through a lot of abiding in Jesus, a lot of abiding in their daily life, right? If you become a Jesus follower, the next day, God doesn't just download all of this wisdom that we grow as we grow. I don't know if that makes sense, but this is a lot of effort into surrender and laying down your life to our Creator, our King, Jesus. And that's where that is coming from. And I think an overall theme of besides the simplicity of being a Jesus follower goes with abiding. We are to abide in Jesus, and He will talk to you. Here's proof. He's speaking to them. And then the best thing is, He's speaking to you, which is amazing, and it's a fullness that you can't describe. But really, it's not even for you. It's for other people, which is crazy to be a part of a group of believers that if we're all listening and we're all serving each other, there's really no limit of what can happen. And so let's give it up one more time for these guys. It's not easy to be in front of the audience. So Jordan, I think what we're going to do is we're going to stand up and let's have Brett pray this service, and then
we need to get you guys out and to get your kids and all of that. So we'll have Brett pray over us, and then why don't we all stand up together, and Brett will pray, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah.
Father, we just thank you so much just for this day and this opportunity that we have just to come together, Lord, and just spend time in your presence and together as a community and as a church family, God. I just pray over this place and over these people, Lord, that you would just lift them up and hold this place close to you. Hold us all close to your will and your desire for each of us, what you want to do in this place and what you want to do in our lives, God. I pray that we can be a congregation and a body that holds each other up and reaches out to each other, God. That you would just be present in this place, Lord, and that we could be conscious of your will and listen to your words. And that just through you, God, all things are possible. That you have great plans for this place. And that we are just excited, Lord, to see where you're going.
Yeah, amen. Thank you, Brett. Thank you. Yeah. A couple things before you go. Do not miss next Sunday. Next Sunday, we have a lot going on. It's our 11th year anniversary, but also Jordan will be speaking about what is God asking our church, of our church, and how we're going to do it, and what your part is. You have to be here. Also, small group fair. We have over 20 group leaders who are going to be here and want to meet with you. What's the best way to learn how to listen to God? With other people. Please be a part of that. We really want everyone to have the opportunity to be a part of small groups, okay? All right. So, Jordan, anything else?
Next week is part 1 of a 2-week thing, so come back for the next 2 weeks. All right, you guys are not dismissed,
Yes,
but released.
thank you.
We love you.